So let's talk about usury and interest and loans. All right. So you have here loan. In Arabic, this is called QiraaD. So we're going to call this a loan, or we're going to call it a monetary loan. But it doesn't have to be money. You can loan a person food, then they have to pay you back. But the food is money, though. And you have something else. We're not going to call it a loan. We're going to call it borrowing an item. Borrowing an item is called in Arabic ariyah. So monetary loan is called in Arabic QiraaD. Borrowing an item is called ariyah. So two different names here. But when you translate, it might come out the same. So you want to pay attention to the difference here. Borrowing an item means someone has something and he lets you use it, and then you have to give it back to him. So we're not going to call that a loan. This has rules, including if someone lets you hold something, then when do you have to give it back, first of all? What if he never told you when to give it back? It became yours? No. So what's the rule? The rule is you use it once normally and then you give it back. So if it were a book, you read the book one time and then you give it back without the person asking you. That's what our religion taught us. Otherwise, you're going to just take someone's stuff and just keep it. And say you never told me when to give it back to him. If he tells you when to give it back, then you have to give it back when he told you to, but you can use it unlimited times inside that time if you're able to. So if he told you, give it back to me on such and such day, then you can use it over and over and over until that day. If he never told you when to give it back, just use it one time normally and give it back. And you have to store it properly. If it becomes damaged due to your negligence, then you're going to have to pay. If it didn't become damaged by your negligence, you don't have to pay. That's another thing the religion taught us here. What if your property in someone else's possession was damaged in his possession? That means that he owes you because it was in his possession when it got damaged? No. He will only owe you if he was negligent. So if it got damaged, not due to any negligence on his part, although it was in his possession, he doesn't owe you anything. And you can't let someone else use it without permission of the owner. And you can't use it in a way that the owner does not accept. And you can't use it in a way different from the way it's supposed to be used. You can't use it differently from how it's supposed to be used. So those are your basics about borrowing someone's item. Oh, almost forgot. This case of borrowing an item does not pertain to getting something physical out of it. Getting something physical out of it. That's something else. Like what? Like, okay, you want to borrow my cow? Why? You can borrow my cow, but can you take the milk though? No. Just because you borrow my cow don't mean you can take the milk. You want to borrow my tree? What you want it for? Some decoration? Doesn't mean you can take the fruit, though. That's different thing, different issue. So this Ariya deal, this is a type of deal, borrowing an item. The point behind that deal is for someone to benefit by using something, not taking an object, though. Subhanallah. He said, I once lent a guy my screwdriver and he used it as a chisel and he broke it. Yeah, subhanallah. So he owes you. That's definitely negligence. But you can pardon him. Or you can make a settlement with him if he agrees that he owes you. Yeah, may Allah reward you. Subhanallah. As for getting an object out of this borrowed item, this requires additional permission. That includes an ink pen. So when you if you let someone hold your ink pen, what are you doing? You are letting him use your pen and you are allowing him to use the ink of your pen. That ink, you're not going to get it back. See how the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he taught the companions very good knowledge. Subhanallah. Okay, so that's borrowing an item. That's not the monetary loan that I want to talk about. Monetary loan is that someone helps you, does you a favor, and he fronts you some money. It's not a gift. Now, what's the religious judgment? You can only get back what you loaned out. Or in other words, it is not valid to profit from a loan. It is amongst the major sins to profit from a loan. That's among what Allah revealed to Prophet Musa. And the Jews, they knew that they cannot profit from a loan. And between themselves, they don't do it. But with non-Jews, they do it. Some scholars say it's the fourth major sin. Blasphemy is number 1. Murder is number 2. Fornication and adultery is number 3. Some scholars say usury, interest, is number 4. And it is forbidden, it has been forbidden in the laws of all prophets. And Allah Ta'ala only made loaning money lawful for helping people, not for profiting. It's obvious for you, what do the people do when they use loans for profit? Then they take advantage of the people and they engage in predatory practices. And they actually don't want you to finish paying back your loan. If you cannot finish paying back your loan, that's better for business for them because it keeps you in their system. And always paying, always paying, always paying. Even if you got close, but if you don't finish and then more time lapses, then you're going to get more. So this is forbidden. What does it mean to profit from a loan? It doesn't only mean to get back some extra money. First of all, being a loan means you want to get back the money. Whatever amount you loaned out, you want to get that much back for sure. Profiting from the loan means you get something more than that, whatever it might be. Not just only more money, could be something else too. Like you get your money back. So the deal is, I'll loan you this money. You're going to pay me my money back and you're going to sell your stuff to me for lower than market price. Or you're going to work for me also for lower than market price. Or you're going to buy from me for above market price. Plus you're going to pay me this loan back. Or you're going to hire my people. Or You're gonna let me live in your place for free, and you're gonna pay me my loan back too, or anything like that. This is amongst the major sins. Even if it's just 1 penny more, it's a major sin. So they made business out of this. Just loans, loaning money. There's an industry around loaning money. That's haram. Allah only made this legal for helping people, not for profiting. Okay, so now you know what. What's that? I called it here usury and interest. So what's the Arabic word? Riba. Riba. The word riba means interest. Actually, I didn't mean to say interest. The word riba means extra. Extra. That's what it means. It means ziyada. So that's the meaning of the word, the linguistic meaning. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, "Kullu qardin jarra manfa'atan fahuwa riba." Any loan that draws a benefit, any kind of benefit, then that's interest. Subhanallah. Okay. What can you do? Is there a way to get around this type of a loan? Possibly. What you can do is you can purchase money. Purchase money. What does that mean? So it means you can, for example, buy $5 for $10. Now you might say, if you don't know, you'd say, is that riba? $5 for $10? No, it's not riba. So then you might say, how that's not riba? So then I would say, I'll tell you in a minute, inshallah ta'ala. So you can purchase money, $5 for $10, for example, or $5 for 10 pounds, for example, or 10 pounds for 1,000 pesos, etc. 1,000 pesos for 2,000 pesos. All that's valid. That's not usury. Why not? Because we're talking here about a sale, purchase, not a loan. Talk about a purchase here. Buying money for money. And you might say, okay, so there's interest in loans. And okay, you're saying I can buy money with money so that it's not a loan. It's going to be a sale. But isn't there interest in sales too? And what you are describing to me, you are sure this is not riba? $5 for $10? So the answer is, yes, there is also interest in sales. That's true. And yes, I am positive that $5 for $10 is not riba. Why? Because riba in sales revolves only around bullion and food. Riba in sales revolves only around bullion and food. You know what bullion is? Gold and silver. So gold, silver, and food. Riba in sales revolves around these only. We're not talking about that now. We'll come back to talk about it. That's why I said I'll tell you. I will come back to it. Because we're not now talking about exchanging gold for gold or silver for silver or exchanging gold for silver. And we are not now talking about exchanging food for food. Same kind of food or different kind of food. That's where riba in sales is. So we'll come to it, inshallah. Now I'm talking about purchasing money. Purchasing money, like, okay, there's two kinds of money. We're going to come back to this here, purchasing money. Let's investigate real quick here. There's two types of money. Mal. Money is mal. Naqd and ard. Bullion and merchandise. Bullion and merchandise. Bullion is gold and silver. There is riba in sales in bullion. Riba in sales does target bullion. But merchandise, riba in sales, when it comes to merchandise, only targets food only out of all the merchandise. Food is merchandise. Everything other than bullion is merchandise. Food is merchandise. The only money that's not bullion, that's subject to riba amongst the merchandise is food. So riba in sales only tackles bullion and food. All the other merchandise is not subject to riba. So here, merchandise is not subject to riba in sales. Merchandise is not subject to riba sales except food. Except food. So if you're selling food for food, then you need to observe some rules. If you're selling gold for gold, you need to observe special rules. Silver for silver, gold for silver, food for food, same kind of food or different kind of food, you need to observe special rules. Not bullion for food, though. Those special rules don't apply here. Bullion and food don't cross. Bullion and food don't cross. Gold for gold, silver for silver, gold for silver. That has special rules. Food for food, same kind of food, different kind of food, has special rules. Any other merchandise that's not food does not have those special rules. Like what? Like any currency. Any currency. When I say currency, I don't mean bullion. Currency that's not bullion. So I'm talking about dollars, yen, pesos, dineros, etc., pounds, liras. That's all merchandise. The actual physical papers and coins, that's all merchandise. Or the notes, if you want. Those papers that they call notes. The notes and the coins is all merchandise. Like land, animals, clothing, it's all merchandise. Okay. So I think this is clear. So I was saying, you can buy money with money. That's not going to be riba. So someone wants to loan you $1,000. And he wants you to pay him back, for example, 1,075, 1,750, for example. That's what he wants back from you, from a loan. So you cannot agree to that, but you can buy $1,000 for $1,750. And it can be due later too. It's not a loan, it's a sale. Now, you might say, or someone might say, not any of you, someone might say, well, it looks to me like all you did was, find a loophole or something? Like you just basically did the same thing? So the answer is that no, we actually didn't do the same thing. We did two very different things here. Because when you do a loan, what you're saying to a person is, can you help me, please? I am lacking. I'm lacking. I'm coming to you for help. If you wouldn't mind to come out of your pockets and put the money in my hand for me, will help me out, I'll give it back to you later. That is not a sale. If you go to a person though and you say, hey, I want to buy this off of you, but I don't have the money right now. That is not a loan. So that's something you can do if someone accepts. But obviously, in order for you to do such a sale, this means there must be a price that you are agreeing to. Can't be fluctuating, cannot be increasing gradually as time passes, because there's no way to buy something like that. What if he wants it to be fluctuating? Like, if you pay by certain time, it'll be $1,750. And if you pay beyond that time, it'll be $2,000. Then what do? Buy it from him for $1,750 due at such and such time. Then that's valid. You might do something like that for a mortgage deal also if you could manage to do so. Any question? If you do agree to a riba deal, that's a major sin, a riba loan. I mean, for any riba, it is major sin, but I meant to say the loan. If you do agree to a riba loan, that's a major sin. Do you have to pay it back? You have to pay back the amount that you borrowed. What about the extra? Do you have to pay back the extra? No, you do not. The extra was invalid. What if they harm you? If you don't, then you could pay it to ward off the harm from yourself after you've already repented for doing the invalid loan. But now you still have to get the harm off of yourself. So then you paid it for that reason, not because you are honoring the loan, the riba, the extra. Or you might give him a gift. You might say to him, for example, here's the money I borrowed from you. And as for the extra amount that you want, I am not going to honor it, but I will give you a gift of the same amount. And then he'd be looking at you like, huh? You see, do you understand the words I am saying? That extra that you attached to the loan, I repent to Allah for agreeing to that, and I will not honor it. It is invalid. However, I am willing to give you a gift in the amount of the extra that you are expecting, just for the sake of Allah. So you can do like that. Or what else you can do? Or you can say, here's the amount of the loan I owe you. The extra was invalid. You can see me on Judgment Day. Or you can go kick rocks if you want to. Well, we can still be friends if you want to, but I'm not going to pay that part. So we finished talking about lending an item, and then we talked about monetary loan. And in talking about the monetary loan, we use that to talk about the case of interest. Now we want to talk about interest in sales. So I'm going to call riba interest. Interest in sales. The interest in loans is known and famous and clear to you. What about the interest in sales, though? The interest in sales, like I told you, it only pertains to bullion and food. Bullion is gold or silver in any form. Gold and silver, that's the basis of money. And food, you know, food is, but also includes condiments like salt, also includes medicine. When we talk about food here, this consumed medicine, that is. Okay. So, how is there interest in sales? What the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught us is that if you sell gold for gold, or silver for silver, or gold for silver, or silver for gold, then there are special rules. And if you sell food for the same type, if you if you sell food like rice for rice, or for a different type like rice for raisins, then there's special rules here. Now you might say, why would I sell gold for gold? And why would I sell rice for rice? So the answer is that it could be that the gold you have and the gold you want are in two different forms. So you want to exchange the gold you have for the other gold. Or it could be that the gold you have is less valuable than that gold. It's because different species of gold. I'm going to say species. Different species of gold. So one is more valuable than the other. You want to get the other one. For example. And same thing for the food. Could be that the rice you have is one kind, it's one species of rice. You want the other one. Mm. So if you want to exchange bullion for bullion, there's special rules. If you want to exchange food for food, there's special rules. Yani same special rules. So these special rules apply to bullion and food. It's the same special rules. It's just that though bullion and food don't cross. So it's bullion for bullion. Those special rules, there's three cases. Those three cases that apply to bullion for bullion. And there's the same three cases they apply to food for food. Nothing more. What are those cases? Okay. First, we want to see, do you want to exchange one bullion for a different one? That means gold for silver or silver for gold. Then there's two rules you need to always observe. One, two out of three. One is that you must exchange at the same time. You must exchange on the spot in the same session. That means you don't take his gold now and bring your gold later. And two, we're talking about gold for silver, silver for gold. Same thing for food too. Type 1 for type 2. Rice for raisins, for example. Pepper for chicken, meat, not live chicken. Food does not include live animals. Live animals are not food. Then there's second condition, which is no condition to delay. Exchange on the spot without a condition of delay. Exchange on the spot without a condition of delay. You might say that's not the same thing. No, slightly different. That is different. Meaning, the condition means something you agree to. So when you're exchanging in this way, bullion for a different kind of bullion, food for a different kind of food, then you cannot make a condition to pay later. The condition only. Meaning, even if you don't honor the condition, what if you made the condition to delay and actually exchanged on the spot? You still fell into interest and your sale is invalid. Major sin, and you committed a major sin. You cannot make a condition to delay. And on top of that, you still have to exchange. You must exchange on the spot too. Actually. Okay. Any question here? The third condition is when it is bullion for same bullion. Bullion for the same bullion. Yani gold for gold, silver for silver. And food for same food. Even different species. This third condition is special to that, which is equal measure on both sides. Equal measure on both sides. So if it is gold for silver, does it have to be equal measure on both sides? Kilo of gold for kilo of silver? No. A kilo of pepper for a kilo of chicken meat? No. Doesn't have to be the same measure on both sides. Only has to be without a condition of delay and exchanged on the same spot. If it's bullion for the same bullion or food for the same food, there's a third condition on top of the first two, which is equal measure on both sides. So when it's bullion for the same kind and food for the same kind, then you have three conditions total. But when it is bullion for a different kind and food for a different kind, then you only have two conditions. And that's the base of it right there. So let me give you a scenario. You go to a store, you purchase a fruit with uh, anything other than food, because here it doesn't matter. Bullion and food don't cross. You purchased fruit, for example, a fresh fruit. Then you left the store. So the session is over now. Then there was something about this fruit that you didn't like. So you went back and you said to him, this fruit, it has this and that. Can I exchange it for another one? And then that person, if he has no religious knowledge, he might say, okay, sure, no problem. And then you put down that fruit and take another one and then leave. What happened here? You fell into a major sin. See how easy that was? That major sin was? Why you fell into the major sin? Can anyone tell me? Why did you fall into the major sin here? 5, 4. Because it wasn't a correct transaction. What was wrong with it? Please. I'm going to continue to count down. 3, 2. He didn't buy that item he exchanged for. Well, the exchange was the purchase, because that's what a purchase is. It is an exchange of monetary things, things that have monetary value, making what the other one owned yours and making what you owned his. I'm going to continue to count down. 2, 1.5, 1. So the problem with the deal was that, how do you know that those two fruits were equal on both sides? Did you measure the first fruit and make sure that it has, Yanni, did you measure both fruits? Got to measure both of them, because it became exchanging food for food. You cannot, for the same kind at that. So if it was a different food, then no problem here. If they were equal on both sides, it would be permissible, yes. But you're going to have to measure it to be sure, because the rule is with certainty. With certainty. Selling that without certainty in the equality of the measure on both sides is still riba. Now, if it were a different fruit, then no problem. For example, you purchased an apple. Then you left. You didn't like something about it. You came back and you said, this apple has such and such. Can I exchange it for something else? And he says, sure. And then you take a banana and you say, this banana, you accept for me to take this banana and you take this apple back? That's a sale right there. If he says yes, let's say he says, yes, I accept. That's a sale right there. And you exchanged on the same spot in the same session. And there was no condition of delay. And since they were not the same, you don't have to worry about equal measure. This is a valid sale. And when you are dealing with things that have multiple ingredients, food that has multiple ingredients, then you're going to most likely want to avoid exchanging that for another one. For example, You purchase, a bottle of Pepsi. There was something about this bottle of Pepsi you don't like, so you took it back. Say, can I get another bottle of Pepsi? Now, are you sure that the sugar in each one is the same and that the flavoring in each one is the same? So if you are sure, then you can do it. Yani, one for one. Like you bought a bag of chips. That one's even easier than bottle of Pepsi. You might find that one hard, bottle of Pepsi. You say everyone tastes the same. Still doesn't mean it's equal though. Everything's equal. But let's use a different example. Bag of chips. You bought your chips back, you want another bag of chips. Are you sure that it's the same? Actually, the same weight, not what they put on the bag there, print that on the bag there. But even if it is the same weight, is it the same salt on each side and the same flavoring on each side? You cannot be sure. And you probably know you buy one bag of chips, even the same brand and same flavor, one's going to be different from the other. More salt, more flavor, less flavor. So you can't exchange them like that unless you're sure they are equal on both sides. So what do? Exchange it for the money, not for the food. So think twice, think well before you exchange food for food. Remember that riba lies in wait for you if you want to exchange food for food. And riba lies in wait for you if you want to exchange bullion for bullion. Like you want to go to the pawn shop. You have gold, and he has something there made of gold. You get there and you see it. And even when we say bullion for bullion, don't forget, we mean not to include the impurities. So, can you sell 24 carats of gold, a kilo of 24 karat gold for a kilo of 16 karat gold? No, you cannot, because this means that it's not the same amount of gold on both sides. The impurities are not counted. How nice is the knowledge that the Prophet taught us, alayhi salatu wassalam. For those who love knowledge, this knowledge is beneficial here. Maybe some people, they will hear this knowledge and say, this is a burden. But that's one who lacks comprehension. Another one will say, this is a blessing. This knowledge uncovers everything. This religious knowledge. This religious knowledge exposes the reality of the universe. Sallallahu ala Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Okay. Any question? All right. So those are the basics of riba in sales without going very far. So let's do a recap of what we have covered so far in deals. We have mostly just covered sales and rentals. And we can add here loans. That's beautiful knowledge. People go to universities to learn this type of this level of information. Subhanallah. Subhanallah wa bihamdi. Okay, so we talked about sales, we talked about rentals, we talked about loans. Now, under sales, we talked about selling, seeing, specific seeing things, specific seeing items. We spoke about selling described items. That's how you sell online and buy offline or buy online. You're buying described items because you don't see the exact thing. So then you cannot buy an exact thing. You can buy offline or online, but don't agree to buy a specific thing because you didn't see it. Rather, you can buy a described thing. Like, let's say it's really is a specific thing in reality. Someone has something, but it's online. He wants to sell that specific thing. So what do you do? Buy it as a described thing. Say, so he wants to sell, for example, an electric bike. The electric bike he has in his house. So you say to him, I will buy an electric bike for such and such descriptions. And then he sells you that exact one. This is valid. As long as he doesn't agree to sell you that specific one, he has to agree that he's going to sell you a one that has such and such descriptions. Then he can sell you that specific one. That's valid. Question. Oh, there's something in front of the words here. Okay. If one goes to exchange food for food, then the seller says to them that the amount isn't as much as the first purchase. And if they agree for the exchange, and the buyer agrees despite it being a bit less, would that be permissible because the buyer agrees? Food for food, it's not going to be valid if it's the same kind of food. The amount must be the same on both sides with certainty, if that's the meaning of your question. Yani, he's not allowed to agree. It won't be valid to agree to it. If it's one food for the same kind of food without equality on both sides. Okay. So we talked about selling specific scene items. We talked about selling described items. And we talked about now usury in sales, or let me just say interest in sales. Okay. We spoke about in terms of rentals, renting uh, a specific thing. We spoke about renting or hiring, renting and hiring. Uh, renting or hiring an account. So those are the counterparts between sales and rentals. These are counterparts. Yani, you can sell something specific or buy something specific. You're going to have to see it then. You can also rent something specific, a specific house, a specific worker. Okay. You can also buy something described, then it cannot be specific. It's not permissible to sell a described thing or buy a described thing as a specific thing. You have to make the adjustment in your agreement and then agree to buy a thing with such and such descriptions. The counterpart to that in renting and hiring is when you hire some company and then they send a worker. Did you hire that worker? No. And what if they send another worker the next day? Or, for example, some healthcare provider, you hire them. Let's say you hired them. So they send a nurse to you. So the nurse comes to you one day. Then another day it's a different nurse. Then another day it's a different nurse. Is this invalid? No, because you didn't hire the specific one. So, inshallah, that's clear for you. And don't forget, in both of these cases, when you are selling or buying the described item or renting or hiring an account, don't forget that you must do what? Tell me, you must do what here? 5, 4. I'll give you a hint in terms of the payment. 3, 2. Yes, question is in terms of the payment, when you are selling or buying a described item, inshallah, that's clear for you what that means. Or you are hiring an account, like hiring an independent contractor. You'd want the work to get done. Who does it is not your concern. Rather, that it gets done is your concern. This is what you are hiring. So in these cases, when it comes to the payment, you must do what? 5, 4, 3. You do have to have a set price, but that's not specific to this one. Also, in the other ones, you have to have set price. For a sale, you always must have set price. No, 100%. And the rental also, you want to know, both sides need to know 100%. Two, one. Yani, then you must pay up front. You must pay up front. Or else it's going to be what? If you don't pay up front in these cases, it's going to be what? A debt for a debt. Correct. Which is invalid. You have to avoid a debt for a debt. Okay. Any question here? Is clear for you the difference between. Okay, before I ask you that, you said pay up front. Does that also count as prepay? Yani, I think you can use the word prepay here. Pre, which means before. So if prepay means you're paying before you get your side of the deal, then yes. If prepay means you're paying before the deal, then no, because there has to be a deal first in the first place. So, but I don't think anyone's going to pay before the deal. So I think prepay works here. But prepay does not mean pay now for the month, for example. When the month is over, I'm talking about right and what we are saying right here. It does not mean pay now, for example, for the month. When the month is over, your service stops. And if you don't pay, it won't start. And if you do pay, even a day later, 2 days later, 3 days later, as long as your account isn't canceled, then it will just start again when you pay. We don't mean that here. Okay. Alhamdulillah. All right. And when we say if you don't pay up front, it's going to be a debt for a debt. Okay. If you don't pay up front, you're going to owe him. That's the debt from your side. What's the debt from his side? The debt from his side is that he still needs to deliver in either case. He must deliver. Yani, when you buy the described item, like online, then it needs to be delivered to you. You are buying not something in particular. You are buying something, not one in particular. Now, for it to be delivered to you later, so you must pay now, or else, just like he's going to owe you, which is going to come in the form of delivering it to you, you're going to owe him. So it cannot be a debt for a debt. A deal that results in a debt for a debt is invalid. So you gotta have to pay up front. And then same thing when it comes to hiring the account, hiring the independent contractor, etc. You're gonna pay now because you're not hiring anyone in particular to do the work. That's just like not buying anything in particular to be delivered for you. So you must pay up front now, and then he's gonna deliver. He's going to deliver means no one in particular is going to get the work for you done. How beautiful is this religious knowledge? Alhamdulillah. Okay. And in terms of loans, just to bring this quick synopsis to an end here, we said there is borrowing an item, which might be called a loan. You might say, I loaned my car, I loaned him my cookbook. And you have monetary loan, which could be food too. Yeah, of course he's going to eat it. Just like if he borrowed the money, isn't he going to spend it? Yes. So same thing. He's going to pay you back. Now, the bread, actually borrowing the bread, I'll check about that because how can you be sure you're going to give him back the exact amount of bread? I'll check about the bread. I'm not sure, but let's keep it to something that's definitively measurable. So your neighbor came to you and said, "Can I borrow a kilo of rice?" Say, okay, sure. Then he's going to pay you back a kilo of rice. As for the bread, though, how can you be sure? Because even if you start cooking the bread, 2 loaves of bread with the same amount, let's say the exact measure of wheat on both for both loaves, still when you cook it, it will transform and the measure will change. So there, I don't know if you can loan bread because of it being cooked, and then now you won't be able to be definitively sure that you can pay back the exact same thing. So we'll check about that. And we talked about the rules for each one of those. We still didn't talk about gifts, though. So, gift giving, that's also one of the very important things we need to know for our basics. And then maybe we can just next time mention the names and few scenarios of few other deals without going into them, just so you can have more idea about deals. And then we'll keep moving in terms of this obligatory knowledge review. Any question?